KNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer not coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. Instead, we are on Radio Row for Super Bowl 59 presented by LeBerge Baton Rouge. And fired up, you are here with us. Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali are back there on the ones and twos. And I will tell you that things have drastically ramped up in terms of intensity and buzz in New Orleans over the last 24 hours. And our guest list reflects that today. We've got a ton of folks that we're going to chat with over the next couple of hours. Q Myers from ESPN Radio's national lineup is going to be here in about 30 minutes. Miss Holthus is the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to chat with him at the end of this hour. Laura Okmin from the NFL on Fox and Westwood One is going to be working the sidelines of the Super Bowl. She's going to be with us. Adam Budelli is going to be here. He is with StubHub. I'm fascinated in that conversation based on the ticket prices that I've seen on some of the various apps that I have looked at, and I just kind of want to get a sense for how that works with the Super Bowl because it's quite an event here, and so we've got tons and tons to do over the next 2 hours. We're looking forward to our conversation with Bryan Bresee, who's been really, really good for the New Orleans Saints in his first 2 seasons, coming off a great year. And I think I see Bryan right there. He's going to come on and grab a headset. Just had a fantastic second season with New Orleans, and so we're going to chat with him a little bit, get a little local coverage, and then we'll kind of get to a more national look at this Super Bowl. So Bryan's coming on around right now. He's going to grab a headset and get all set up, and we'll start our show the same way we start every single day. That's with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Starting off a fantastic way here on this Wednesday with Bryan Bresee of the New Orleans Saints. Just wrapped up season number 2 in New Orleans. Bryan, thanks for a little bit of time. How are you?
Good. Yourself?
Doing very well. So I want to ask this. I understand that's a 17-game grind, and you played all 17 this year. How fast does it take for your body to feel a little bit normal again? Have we gotten there yet?
Yeah. I mean, I think the little like nicks and bruises every week, they'll clear up pretty quickly after. So, man, getting back into training now and on to next season.
Awesome. Well, this was a great year for you personally, and I want to talk about that first before we kind of get to the big picture with the Saints. You had 7.5 sacks, 7 more tackles for loss, got back to the quarterback, and did, from my vantage point, a great job in pass rush. How would you assess your second season with New Orleans?
Yeah, I mean, man, it was definitely a jump from year one. I think there's still, a lot of upside that I still can reach, and man, that's just going into this offseason, just focusing on doing everything I can to reach my full potential.
What are some things you feel like you need to work in going to year 3?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a ton of stuff. I don't think anything's sharpened all the way to the point that I want it to be yet. I think I can improve my game in every aspect. So, man, just trying to find all those things, watching film, talking to coaches, other players, and figuring it out and continuing to improve. How
valuable is having Cam Jordan on your defensive line, Chase Young, who's had a really good early run in his career? I mean, some of the veterans that you played alongside, how big a help is that to you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, man, Cam has been awesome for me. Not like Cam, Grando, all those guys, Bank, they've been awesome. Just guys that have been in the league. You got guys like Colin Saunders, who's won a Super Bowl. Chase, Cam's been in the playoffs, many times. Just those kind of guys that come in and you see what it's supposed to look like, how they work, how they train, how they go about their lives of just being a pro. So just having those guys and watching somebody like Cam, who's 34, year 14, the old man, but just having somebody like him who still comes in every day and you just see him busting his butt up and down the field, working hard, running to the ball, man. Just somebody like that. It's motivational for everybody on the team, the younger guys, anybody, I believe. So he's been awesome.
Bryan Bresee is our guest here on Radio Row here in New Orleans, getting ready for Super Bowl 59. Some really high highs early in the season for y'all as a team. obviously a valley in the middle, and then kind of a rally there once the coaching change was made. Emotionally, what was that like for you and for the locker room?
Man, it was a lot of ups and downs, like you said, man. It was a tough season in that aspect, but I feel like just the guys that we had in the locker room, just nobody ever really lost faith. Everyone stayed just kind of like it always felt like we were going to win the next game no matter what in that locker room, and I think that's something special about us, man. There was never any break in faith, no matter who our coach was, what the circumstance was, who was playing, who wasn't playing. In my mind, and it felt like everybody else's mind, we were always going to win the next game. So, you just gotta go into every season like that, and coming into this next year, man, I'm excited for it. I think we got guys to win games and make a push.
Are you paying attention to the coaching search? I know that's kind of our job here. You're worried about resting up and getting ready for next season. Are you paying attention to that at all?
I see it every once in a while. At the end of the day, I'm just kind of waiting to hear like you guys are. So, I think there's a lot of faith in the people in our building to make a good decision, and whatever they choose, I'm excited for it. Blake
Groupier was here on Monday. We've spoken with Cam Jordan a little bit earlier. Demario Davis was here a little bit earlier. So we've talked to a few guys from your locker room. Darren Rizzi has been – everyone's sung his praises. Can you speak to the job that he did and kind of what he meant to New Orleans?
Yeah, absolutely. But Rizzi, from when I first got here last year, him just being the special teams coach, he's just so well respected in whatever he did, from the team. So, man, when he took over, it wasn't like there wasn't a blink of an eye. Like everyone, kind of rallied behind him. We knew what he was about. We knew what he was going to bring to our team, and high energy. He made sure we were ready to play on Sundays, and a lot of love for Coach Rizzi. So, looking. Happy for him.
So let's talk about a different topic here. We'll kind of shift gears. We're on locally in Baton Rouge, and certainly we've got affiliates in New Orleans as well. But LSU and Clemson open the season coming up this year. First, I want you to tell me something I don't know about Dabo Swinney.
Oh, something you don't know?
Yeah.
Man.
Putting you on the spot a little bit?
I know. No.
What was it like to play for him?
Man, he was awesome. I got nothing but good things to say about Coach Swinney. He was awesome to me and my family. To whatever you see on video of Coach Swinney is how he is in real life. So, and I think that says something about him and his character. So, nothing but amazing things to say about him and what he's built at Clemson. So.
LSU opens at Clemson, the little Death Valley y'all got over there on the East Coast. So what can Tiger fans expect when they head over there for the opener next year?
It'll be a great atmosphere. I'm trying to get Tyron to let me catch a ride with him to the game. If it's week 0, I don't even know when it is. If we
it's the first week. It's Labor Day weekend, so you won't be playing yet.
Yeah, so we might be able to make that trip. It'll be an awesome experience. I think Clemson's a special place, along with LSU, I'm sure. I haven't got to make a trip up there, but it'll be a great atmosphere. I'm excited to watch, and like I said, hopefully I can make it up.
You got a pick for the game coming up on Sunday?
It's a tough question. I've gotten that.
Y'all played Kansas City, obviously.
We played both of them.
Yeah, played Philly too, yeah.
Man, I think it would be tough for me to pick one team in this situation. I think both teams are really talented on both sides of the ball. I think they're just really well-rounded teams. Like, you don't really see a weak spot on either team. So I think it could really be a coin toss, 50-50 here.
I know you're here with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Tell us about kind of what you're doing on their behalf.
Yeah, so we're here for the Big Draft campaign. Big Brothers, Big Sisters just reopened in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. It was closed down from Katrina until now. So, man, just them getting reopened. They're trying to it's called the Big Draft campaign, trying to draft 10,000 new Big Brothers and Big Sisters into the program. Right now there's 30,000 kids that are out without a mentor, and so just trying to cut that number down, and a lot of them are males. So, man, just looking for a way to help the youth and get involved. You can go sign up at bebig.org, to help the cause and get involved.
BeBig.org. We'll put that in our YouTube chat here coming up in a little bit. Bryan, great job on your second season.
Thank
Continued
you so much.
health and a ton of success moving forward.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
That's Bryan Bresee here on Radio Row, getting you ready for Super Bowl 59. Always appreciate a little bit of time from him as he'll get on down, and certainly got a lot of important work to do with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Again, we'll put that link in the chat here moving forward. That's our Genesis opening drive. Remember, every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. We'll take a time out. We've got some hoops to talk about. We've got a lot of guests that are cycling through. Q Myers from ESPN Radio is going to come up here in about 20 minutes. So don't go anywhere. You're listening to a Wednesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
When you can't rely on technology.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
The laundry's coming over here trying to get me to put Mardi Gras beads on my head. Well, I got a mic on my head. Well, we're here at Radio Row, Super Bowl 59. We're brought to you by LeBear's Baton Rouge. I mentioned this at the top of the show. I was kind of seeing when Bryan was going to check in. The intensity level from Monday to now is not even close. And that's kind of what we anticipated. All of the national shows are now up and kicking around us, and that's really brought in a ton of big-name guests. Matt's going to speak with Demario Davis a little bit later on his show. Just had Bryan Bresee there. Saw Pac-Man Jones just walk by a minute ago. Mark Ingram was right next to us just a minute ago. Marcus Allen was here. I know that Jake's about to interview over on his SiriusXM show, Jerome Bettis and Marshall Falk, and a ton of folks there. So there's a lot going on here on Radio Row, and it's just a ton of fun. So we appreciate the folks from the Bears, Baton Rouge, allowing us to make this happen here down in New Orleans. Y'all know that I'm going to find somehow, some way to shoehorn just a little bit of baseball into the show. We're going to talk Super Bowl the rest of the way here with Q Myers, as well as the play-by-play voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. That's Mitch Holthus. So we'll do that the rest of the hour. But there was some announcement from the SEC earlier today regarding baseball with the preseason all-conference teams and order of finish projections. 3 LSU Tigers were first-team all-SEC selections by the SEC coaches. Jared Jones, the first-team first baseman. Cade Anderson, a first-team pitcher, which I find very interesting considering the fact that he didn't necessarily play a huge role on last year's team. And then Gavin Guidry, a first-team selection and a pitcher as well. That one makes a little more sense. He's a fairly known commodity. And in this era where a lot of teams are relying on the transfer portal, you've got a lot of guys who come in and pitch for 1 year and then move on, a la Luke Holman, Gage Jump, those guys who came in for a year and then moved on from LSU. Gavin Guidry's been pitching big innings for LSU for 2 years, basically. So for him to get some recognition from the coaches, I didn't think was super surprising. I'll go back to Anderson there because I wrote for LouisianaSports.net today a breakdown of LSU's starting pitching. And I profiled Anderson as the ace of the staff. And I feel strongly that that's going to be the case come Friday afternoon of next week. I think he'll be the opening day starter. If he's not, I think that there will be some sort of lifetime achievement deal for Gavin Guidry or something. But I feel like Cade Anderson is thought of as the best pitcher on the staff by the LSU coaching staff right now. He is I've listed his stats at the website on LouisianaSports.net, but you look at what he did through some of his outings. Over the course of 2 outings against Rice and Southeastern, 10 innings, 20 strikeouts, and no earned runs. You look at his 2 outings against Wofford and North Carolina in the regional. He threw 2 1/3 innings, which obviously means 7 outs. He had 6 strikeouts in those 2 1/3. The stuff's great, and I think he's trying to take that next step. And I think Cade Anderson may be the most important player on the team. I don't think it's hyperbole to suggest he's the most important player on the team. Because, yes, Jared Jones is that offensively, and yes, you'd love Danny Dickinson to break out and become a star, and Cade Arambede's got so much potential, and Stephen Milam, working into his second year as a starter, could be a great player, an all-SEC-type player. But the ace is so important. You take the ball on Friday, you take the ball in a big spot in a regional or super or in Omaha, and you got to be great. And I think Cade Anderson is the guy who has the inside track to be that for LSU. So for him to get that recognition from the coaches out of the chute, I think speaks volumes for him. I mentioned Danny Dickinson. He is a second-team all-conference selection as a second baseman. If you all have been listening to me day over day talk about the LSU team position by position like I'm doing for LouisianaSports.net, you heard me talk cautiously optimistically about Danny Dickinson. There's no question he's got some physical tools. He runs really well. He's got enough bat speed to hit the ball out of the ballpark. He's a dirt bag in the sense that he's a baseball guy, loves to get dirty, loves to work, loves to practice, loves the game, loves the grind. But you just never know when a Utah Valley transfer goes to the SEC what that's going to look like. And so for me, I'm hopeful that Danny Dickinson is an all-conference player, a second-team all-SEC player. And if he hits .314 with 16 home runs, that's going to be massive for this LSU team. He'll hit at the top or in the middle of the order. I'm just cautious about what that transition is going to look like for him. So there's your 4 LSU players who got some all-conference recognition: Dickinson, Jones, Anderson, Guidry. Interestingly enough, Stephen Milam not listed as the all-conference hopefuls. I thought that was a little bit surprising, but that's really the only guy that I could point to as a bit of a snub. I don't think Josh Pearson or Michael Braswell has kind of earned that. I'm not shocked that Derek Curiel wasn't listed. That could happen pretty quickly. He could make some waves, but he's an unproven commodity at this point as a freshman. So those are your guys. As far as the order of finish goes for LSU, for the SEC, there were obviously 16 first-place votes that were issued by the coaches, and Texas A&M got 10 of them. When you consider that Michael Early, who's the head coach of Texas A&M now, can't vote for his team at first place, you're talking about 10 of 15 possible first-place votes went to Texas A&M. That's the kind of roster that the coaching staffs in the SEC believe A&M has. I've had some conversations with LSU, with folks inside the building at LSU, and the sense is, candidly, that A&M's got the most talented roster. What does that mean? We'll see. Doesn't always work out, but that's a team that folks think are going to be really, really good. They were picked to win the league, obviously, with 10 first-place votes. Tennessee got a first-place vote. They are second place in projected finish. Arkansas got 3 first-place votes, which is interesting because they really haven't hit for the last couple of years. But they got 3 first-place votes. They are the projected third-place team in the SEC. LSU comes in 4th with 1 first-place vote. Florida comes in 5th with 1 first-place vote. Arkansas and Tennessee were just about a toss-up at 2 and 3 overall. LSU comes in behind them at number 4. And honestly, I think that's pretty fair as far as ranking LSU. You look at what LSU has, and it's a lot of talent and a lot of potential. But you're talking about a group that is replacing Holman and Jump, who were vital to what LSU did from a pitching perspective last year as far as starts. LSU won 11 of their last 13 starts last year. That's a big, big deal to lose them and have nobody that's been an SEC Friday, Saturday, Sunday guy waiting in the wings. Nobody. So you've got to develop that. You lose Griffin Herring as a closer. Who you got in the back end? You feel like Connor Ware is going to be great. At least I do. I feel like there's a possibility that Gavin Guidry moves back there and is a proven commodity. But you're replacing that. And then outside of Jared Jones and Stephen Milam, it's not a star-studded lineup as far as proven guys. Maybe Dickinson is. Maybe Curiel is. Maybe Stanfield really takes a step up. Maybe you look over at third base and Michael Braswell takes another step offensively and becomes an all-conference type player. But you really are replacing a lot. This is not like 2023 when you were bringing back Cruz and you were bringing back Morgan and you were bringing back Dugas and you're bringing back Thompson, and you knew what you had in those guys. And Pearson was, quite frankly, coming back after a really strong finish to his freshman year. You didn't quite know at that point, what you could have gotten from Cade Beloso. That wasn't necessarily projectable. What Travinsky meant to them late in the season wasn't totally projectable, and certainly nobody could have thought that Skeens would become what he was. But the lineup had so many proven pieces that you figure number 1 ranking makes some sense for them. And in the same way that it does for Texas A&M based on them getting to the national final last year, coming up 1 game short, and bringing back as much as they do with Jace Laviolette, who's the National Player of the Year front runner, and you bring back Gavin Grahovac, and you bring back Tanner Schott. Like, there's just a lot of guys they bring back that are really, really good players. So I think it's pretty fair where LSU is. I think if I had to pick the SEC right about now, I would have LSU in the 3 or 4 spot. And guess what? If you finish in the 3rd or 4th spot in the Southeastern Conference, you will host a super regional at the box, assuming you win your regional. So I think there are probably some LSU fans that would look at this and go, oh, my God, the disrespect. This team is stacked. They've got so much talent. They're going to be an absolute handful. You think Tennessee's better than them with all they lost? You think Arkansas is better than them with all they lost? Well, what I would counter is that, it doesn't really matter. If you're 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, as long as you're in that top 4 in the SEC, there's a strong, strong, strong likelihood that you will be a national seed. And that's all the first 56 games plus the conference tournament are there for. That's it. If you're the 1 national seed, if you're the 8 national seed, it doesn't really matter that much. You don't have to play the other ones in the regional or super regional. By the time we get to Omaha, you can't try to run the bracket that far down the road. It almost never works out that way. So I'm comfortable with where LSU is. The only issue I kind of have with this 1st and 2nd team look is that Stephen Milam didn't get a nod, but that's okay. There's some really good shortstops and third basemen in this league, so you may not feel like Stephen Milam hits for enough power to move his way to the top of that pecking order. But 4 LSU Tigers, Jared Jones, Cade Anderson, Gavin Guidry, 1st team all-league. You got Danny Dickinson in the 2nd team, and LSU picked 4th in the SEC. Briefly, let me take one look at LSU and Georgia in basketball tonight, and then we'll get right back to guests and football. But I do want to keep some local angles to the show as we move through the week. This is LSU and Georgia tonight, 9 o'clock Athens time, and 8 o'clock tip-off Central time. 2 teams that desperately need a win. You're looking at a Georgia team that's 15-7 overall, but just 3-6 in league play. They've lost 4 of their last 5. The only win was against South Carolina in Athens, so that's not exactly a huge get for the Bulldogs. Mike White is 15-30 in 2.5 seasons at the helm. They just haven't turned a corner. And you look at that, it gets a little dicey, and they've got to find a way to win some games. Do not expect either team to be chucking them in from deep in this game tonight. You're looking at a Georgia team that is 249th in the country in three-point percentage. That's better than LSU nationally, but still almost 250th in the country. And in league play, Georgia is shooting about 26% from the three-point line. That is the worst of any team in the Southeastern Conference. So that's awful. We mentioned LSU shooting last week. They were awful on Saturday shooting the ball, 2 of 15, I think, from three-point range. So two teams that can't shoot. So what are they going to do? They're going to drive. They're going to drive. They're going to drive. They're going to drive. For Georgia, you look at Blue Kane and Silas Demery. Those are the two guys that are 6'4", 6'5" wings that are going to do a lot of driving. It's LSU's job to keep them out of the paint, and they're not driving to dish. Georgia is way down the list, 211th in the country in terms of assists per game. They're driving to try to score, and so that'll be Cam Carter and Jai Bailey's job to keep them out of the paint and try to force Georgia to shoot over the top of LSU's defense. And then LSU's got to rebound, and they haven't rebounded worth a flip. We know that. They've got to do it in a big way. Georgia does hang its hat on the defensive end, and they've been good on the defensive end. They're 30th in the country in defensive efficiency. They're 22nd in the country in opposing shooting percentage. Those are really, really strong marks, and Georgia is a good defensive team. They've got length. Those two wings I told you are 6'5", and then they've got Asa Newell, who's from Destin, a 6'10" freshman who's averaging 15 points a game, but also does a good job on the defensive end for them. So LSU's going to have to work to get shots against a defense that's been pretty good. Here's my 2 cents on LSU's offense. Cam Carter shot 2 3-pointers on Saturday and 2 3-pointers on Wednesday before that against Auburn. He shot 4 threes in 2 games. He's got to shoot more. I don't need him chucking up 12 threes a night with a hand in his face. Nobody needs that. He's clearly their best offensive option, and he clearly needs to shoot the ball more than that. Every time Jai Bailey takes an open three, or Derek Fountain shoots an open three from the wing, or Trades Green shoots a run-in one-hander, anytime that you get that shot, instead of Cam Carter putting a shot up, you're getting a worse shot. And again, I don't need Cam to shoot it 24 times, but he's got to shoot more than 2 threes in a game for LSU to offensively be dangerous. Everybody knows that Cam Carter is number 1 on their scouting report when you play LSU. Everybody understands that, and so that can be difficult. But the coaching staff at LSU has to find a way to create some shots for him. And you can do that by inbounding the ball to him and let him take it up and initiating the offense that way, or you can try to free him up off the ball. But LSU's got to get Cam Carter more shots, because the more time somebody else shoots it, the better the opposing bench is going to feel. So Georgia is somewhere in the neighborhood of a 7-8 point favorite, depending on where you look at this one. They've been really good at home this year. They're 12-1. They've won 10 of those 12 by double digits. They beat Kentucky by double figures in Stegman. They played Auburn very close in Stegman. They've been good at home, and so this will be a tough game for LSU to go on the road and win. But hopefully they can get one, because LSU's in desperate need of a W tonight in Stegman Coliseum. Again, tip-off tonight, SEC Network, 8 o'clock. Dave Neal and John Sunvolt will be on the call for the SEC Network this evening. All right, that leaves basketball in the rearview mirror. Got a little baseball out of the way as well. We got plenty to do over the course of the next half hour, and really hour and a half. When we come back, Q Myers from ESPN Radio's national lineup is going to jump aboard. That's next on a Wednesday edition of The Hunt Palmer.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every car on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. When you think Genesis, think luxury. Sometimes when I say luxury vehicle, you may think of different brands that have been around for a long time, and that's okay, but just give Genesis a shot. They'll stack right up. And I can promise you, if you think luxury and you go, well, I can't afford that, you might want to take a look. Genesis of Baton Rouge is happy to help you with that. Their brand ambassadors are fantastic to work with. Got an incredible line of vehicles from the sedan all the way up through the SUV. They're safe, they're stylish, they're sleek, they're comfortable, and the experience once you get behind the wheel, especially with the folks that you'll work with over there on Airline at Pico, is first class. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can check them out online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable. And
The Hunt Palmer Show, live from Super Bowl 59 Radio Row in New Orleans. Presented by L'Auberge Casino Hotel, Baton Rouge.
Wednesday is Super Bowl week. We're here on Radio Row, presented by L'Auberge of Baton Rouge, and fired up to be here, getting ready for the Chiefs and the Eagles coming up in the Dome Sunday night. We've been here since Monday. That's child's play compared to my next guest, Q Myers, from what soon to be the Joe and Q show, launching on Monday, ESPN Las Vegas. A variety of places you can find Q Myers. We appreciate some time, man. How are you?
Oh, man, fantastic. Excited about the show, man. Joe's my guy, Joe Fortenbaugh. I've known him for a long time. So, yeah, I'm excited to have an opportunity to learn a little something, right? I mean, the guy's expert when it comes to, well, anything, but I get that opportunity to hang out with my friends in the midday. So, yeah, excited what we got going on, man. ESPN Radio, we're going to launch on Monday, right? So here we go. It's like we're leading into the biggest game, and then all of a sudden we're going to, have a new show. So they even gave it, I'm on a piece of paper now.
You're on a piece of paper.
I'm
I
on
got
a piece
it right
of paper.
here.
I've been like stressing this thing. I can't wait till this is all done. I get to call my mom and be like, Mom, I'm on a piece of paper, and the picture actually looks pretty good.
It looks real good. Mama, I made it to the paper.
It wasn't a bathroom selfie. It was a good one, so I'm good.
So, look, I was looking into your background. You've been a lot of places on the West Coast, a couple stops in California, now ESPN Las Vegas. I saw Monterey on there. I've only been in Monterey for 3 days of my life.
Oh, okay.
How did you leave?
Well, one, it's expensive, right?
It is,
It's very expensive. It's funny, I was working at a hip-hop station at the time.
Okay.
And so it was a pretty good one. We were going up against the flagship, the hip-hop station that's been there forever. So we were, that was an uphill battle. But, yeah, it was cool. It was a great area. It's funny, I was living in Seaside at the time, right? And the radio station was in Monterey. And Herm Edwards. And Herm Edwards, obviously, on ESPN Radio as well. Longtime NFL coach. And he lived in Seaside as well. So as soon as I got there, it was like, hey, Herm Edwards is from here. I think he still lives there, matter of fact. But they're like, hey, Herm Edwards is from here. So every time people said, hey, man, you're living in Seaside, I was like, yes, the home of Herm Edwards. So that was it. So I had to always make sure I said that. So when I see Coach in the hallway, I was like, Coach, I lived in Seaside. I know you lived there. He's like, yeah. So he starts going on about Seaside, and so we like to. That's our connection. But yeah, it's a very expensive place. But man, what a beautiful drive.
Yeah,
you drive in off the road, and the ocean's right there. Pebble Beach is up the street. I actually one time I went to Pebble Beach and I ate on the 18th hole.
There you go.
And I ate there. I did not play.
I
ate there, and it was some really good food. But I ate there, and there was a big old picture of Tiger Woods when he won back in the day. I guess
2000.
Yeah, there you go. Boom. There it is. See?
I can do golf. We got to talk some football, though. I'm curious before we get to the game. You spent some time in Las Vegas, and that is, over the last 15 years, become one of our major sports cities with teams kind of coming to Las Vegas. How's that taken to Vegas?
It's great, man. It's great. And, when I arrived in Vegas in 2021, I feel like I was right ahead of the curve. Right, so now the draft has been there, the Super Bowl's been there, we've got the national championship game coming up in a year or so. Like, there's so many different, all the basketball events are there. So many different things are arriving in Vegas, all the teams that are there. Obviously, the Raiders, I cover them locally, but the Golden Knights have won a championship. The Aces are back-to-back, they were back-to-back champs. Like, there's so many different entities that are coming there. The NBA will be there soon. It's really growing, and I'm so excited to continue to see it grow. I mean, we all know Vegas, we think of the parties and everything. Yeah, of course that's there, but there's so much more to it now. And so it's going to be great just to see it continue to grow and see the fans and the locals that live there excited to be there.
We're still covering a coaching search with the Saints here locally. We think we've got the end of it with Kellen Moore coming on Monday or Tuesday. The Raiders just got out of a coaching search where Pete Carroll just showed up. What was the search like, and how was the reaction to the result there?
Well, everyone thought that it was going to be somebody like maybe it wasn't going to be Pete Carroll. Nobody thought it was going to be Ben Johnson, even though he got an interview. It's just like, okay, who are the Raiders going to have to settle for? Like, that was the big thing. It's like, oh, they're going to have to settle. But then Tom Brady put the influence in, and then all of a sudden they get an interview with Ben Johnson, and it's like, hey, I have colleagues that say, I heard that Pete wants to come here. I was like, Pete who? Pete Carroll's. Wait, what? And so that all of a sudden intrigued me. And then they start doing a coaching search. And they do the coaching search. They go through a firm that has been, very good at getting different coaches in or whatever like that, trying to find them. And all of a sudden it started making sense. And then they hired the GM before they hired the coach. It's like, wow, I mean, this is actually stuff that you're supposed to do. So it's great, and I'm excited about Pete Carroll. He's the youngest 73-year-old out there. I know he'll be 74 when the season kicks off next year, but he's got more energy than I do. That's why I keep telling everyone. I was like, man, if you're worried about his age, don't be. That dude, he's going to be fine. He knows what it looks like. He's been there, done that. So that, to me, is the biggest thing. It's like, how do you put this team together so that they're something that's really taken seriously instead of just, some kind of, well, maybe this one year they're good and, oh, they're not good anymore. No, it's like they have to be a consistent team. So Pete Carroll's going to try to lay that groundwork.
Chatting with Q Myers, going to be the new host of Joe and Q. That'll launch on this coming Monday, 11 to 2 o'clock our time, ESPN National Radio. All right, let's talk about this game. Are you sick of the Eagles and Chiefs? I keep talking to people that are. I think they're really good. I'm excited to watch them play.
I'm sick of the Chiefs.
Okay.
I mean, but you can't really be sick of greatness, right? It's just
that's where I'm coming from.
I mean, but you mentioned I'm in Vegas, so I mean, of course, there's the Raiders ties there. So sick of seeing that success, but at the same time, I admire it. Right? I mean, how do you continue to evolve? And even when people tell you don't have enough weapons, oh, you're having a down year, you're barely getting by. Like, that's what we heard all year. Well, what do they have to do? Well, it's like, but they're barely getting by. Yeah, but they're barely winning. Who cares? Right? Nobody cares. Like, does anyone care what happened in week 7? You check the box score and you're like, oh, no, they won. You're not going to be like, well, yeah, but remember they had to block a field goal or whatever. You don't care. They just won, and now they're here in the Super Bowl again. And so if I was going to place money on the game, I would definitely bet on the Chiefs because I'd be a fool not to. I think that there's a path. I know that there's a path for the Eagles to win, and that's why, to your point, this is an exciting game, right? It's 2 years ago. Jalen Hurts, I mean, all the claims are he played better than Mahomes in that game, but they lost. So now, okay, can you play better than Mahomes and win? So now, you got Saquon Barkley. You have the weapons. You have a really good defense. You have an offensive line that's second to none. You have the tools to get it done, but when push comes to shove, can you do it? Right? I mean, that's the thing.
I'm going to ask you, can they do it?
I mean, yeah, they can. They can, but will they is another question, right? I mean, will they? You can't make mistakes. You can't think about it not making mistakes, but you can't make mistakes. You can't get down double-digit points. If you do, they're going to put the nail in the coffin, right? And they got to have Saquon Barkley be big. Obviously, he's went for 2,000 yards this year. So he's got to continue to have that same recipe. But if you get down 12, 14 points, then all of a sudden it's drop back. And Chris Jones just pins his ears back.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
Thank you.
We're in SEC country in Baton Rouge. We know Chris Jones from Mississippi State all too well. That's not a dude you want to be dealing with in a pass rush situation, really, ever. What's your trust level in Jalen Hurts in the fourth quarter of a really close game?
I think he can do it. I think he can get it done. I was a big Jalen Hurts fan even when he was at Alabama, right? I thought that he was a really good player. I thought that he had that opportunity to take off, and of course, we all know how it shook out. He got benched, he got one back in, he went to Oklahoma. But I've always loved his work ethic, his grind, his I can do this. I can lead you to where I can lead you to a championship. I think he can do it. But again, it's got to be close, because if they get down a lot and he has to drop back every time, then I think that it's going to be too hard to overcome that. And he can't make a mistake. And we remember the first game, he made a mistake, right? The fumble got taken back. I mean, that's what you can't do. And the one thing that he does that he cannot do on Sunday, a lot of times he'll get pressure, he starts scrambling, all of a sudden you look back, he just lost 10 yards. That might take you out of field goal range.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you just took points off the board. You can't do that.
I've enjoyed asking people who have come here from wherever they may be, in your case, Vegas. How have you liked New Orleans this week?
I love New Orleans.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time that it's my favorite city, and I've only been here now 3 times. But everyone's like, oh, I thought you went all the time. I was like, no. I've been here for the Harbaugh Bowl, right, for Baltimore and San Francisco.
The lights went out.
Yes, the Beyonce Bowl, I should call it, right? I was on Bourbon Street when that happened. That's another story.
There you go. We all have them down here. We know.
Well, that was my first Super Bowl, so it comes full circle, right? And now all of a sudden I'm here, and instead of being, running around chasing, which I am doing, I'm chasing a bunch of guests trying to get them locked down. I'm going, on tour, right? I'm having fun. I'm talking to different radio stations, that are affiliates and everything, and it's a lot of fun. But, it's just like, that was a great game. This is going to have an opportunity to be a great game. Man, I'm excited. And then just being in New Orleans again, I came here for that one, like I mentioned, and then Baylor played LSU. Was it LSU in the Sugar Bowl? Yeah, and that was when Matt Rule.
Baylor played
Georgia.
Yep,
Georgia.
Yeah.
There it was. Baylor played Georgia, and that's when Matt Rule was the head coach, and then he went to Charlotte after that. He went to Carolina. And so that was my second time here. That was 2020, and then this is my third time here. But I talk about this place like this is home.
Well, enjoy it. We'll be listening to you each and every day. Keith Q. Myers, host of Joe and Q, that's going to launch this coming Monday, 11 to 2 o'clock our time on ESPN Radio. Q, enjoy your time. Enjoy the football. Safe travels home.
Barbecue, shrimp, grits.
You better believe it.
Love it.
We know it well. That's Q Myers. Appreciate a little bit of time. We're going to step aside. We'll come back and close out hour number 1. It's been a fast-moving hour number 1. Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, is going to be next. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carbo and his team are fantastic to work with. They're experts when it comes to the coverage side of insurance. I know that it's not the most fun thing to talk about, but the deal is you never know when that hurricane's coming. You never know when that car accident's coming, when that lawsuit may be coming. You never know. And then it does. And you want to make sure that you're covered on the front end. You don't want to see that happen, then go to your insurance policy and start flipping through pages hoping there's no exclusion that's cutting that out, hoping that your limit is adequate because all you looked at was the premium on the front end. When you trust your broker like you can trust the Highland Insurance Group, you won't be scrambling if that incident were to happen. You'll be protected, and that's the most important aspect when it comes to insurance. So go check them out online at HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group. They're at HighlandIG.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Wrapping up hour number 1 here, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show from Radio Row, presented by LeBears of Baton Rouge. Now our pleasure to welcome to the set here Mitch Holthus. He's a play-by-play voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Is this getting old, or it's just part of the gig?
No, it doesn't get old. You go 21 years without a playoff victory.
Yeah.
It's my 31st year, and we went, a long time. We were on the other side of the river. You don't take any of this for granted, although it's been a pretty magnificent run. When you think 17 playoff victories in a 7-year span is the most of any team in NFL history, and it's just been a remarkable story. There's so many stories nobody's really touched on, in my opinion. They get stuck on some false narratives, but it's really cool to come back here to try to make history because of Super Bowl IV. And our guys are working out at Tulane. It was Tulane Stadium where the Chiefs won Super Bowl IV, and Jan Stenerud had the 3 field goals, and so to come back to New Orleans is awesome.
And we're thrilled to have Chiefs Nation here. Chiefs. I know Kingdom.
Kingdom.
There it is. I was going to get there. It was coming. Is that right?
I'll take credit
for that.
How about that? Yep,
well, now
coined the phrase.
Glad I got it right.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the change in the team as the organization has moved forward, because when I thought of those early Chiefs great teams, I thought about Tyreek Hill and the speed with which they were doing it and the flair with which Mahomes was playing. And now I watch them on Sunday, and they win 21-17 because their defense is awesome, and they took care of the ball, and they made the 3 plays they had to move. What has that been like to watch over the last 5-7 years?
It's the brilliance of Andy Reid and the comprehensive nature of this entire team, not just the offense. I've given it the analogy. It's a pitcher that threw 95 on the black, still could, but figures out a way to throw a cutter and to get you out. That's what Mahomes has done. That's what this offense has done. It's what the defense has done. But when you look at the Patriots run of 2 decades, they did it all different ways.
They did.
Everybody thinks it's the same. No, they did it different ways. And that's what the Chiefs have done. Honestly, to win consistently in this league, which is built not to do that, as you guys well know, you have to reinvent yourself. And the Chiefs have done that in this 7-year run. They have done that 3 or 4 times.
Do you have more confidence when the Chiefs' defense is on the field or when the offense is on the field?
I've learned that I'm going to give you a wishy-washy answer. I've learned that I got confidence in all 3 phases.
Yep.
This is also a special teams. It had a 63-yard kickoff return, 41-yard punt return in the playoffs, and blocked another field goal, had a block-off win on a field goal. And so I've learned in all 4. Butker's kick, game winner after game winner, has the all-time field goal in Super Bowl history. I just have confidence in this entire team, no matter the group.
What do you think the Chiefs staff is concerned about on Sunday?
Well, Philadelphia's really changed the way they're doing business since Super Bowl 57. Everybody thinks it's the same team, and it's not. Even their approach. Now, one thing that I think that will help the Chiefs in this game is I think they just played the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're getting ready to play the Buffalo Eagles, and they're getting ready to play the Philadelphia Bills, because there's very, very similar in approach. Now, the one thing is Barkley and the fact that they are going against football genre, if you will, because everybody in the football, college, and NFL specific say you've got to throw to win. Well, the Eagles have disproven that because they're getting home run plays in the run game. For example, Barkley's got an NFL record already of 7 60-plus yard touchdown runs. He's got a couple more 50s. Now, those 7 have primarily been against 2 teams. He has 4 against the Rams and 2 against the Commanders. But still, they hit home runs in the run game. That's where they're different and had to be prepared. And then the Eagles have done a very good job of drafting to their defense, much like we have. They've had Quinion Marshall was one of my favorite players coming out of the draft this year. And then to get Cooper DeJean basically in the Chiefs Kingdom in Ida Grove, Iowa, was a big get for them. And then the Georgia Bulldog All-Stars. So they're just this is a really good team, again, comprehensive, but different than Super Bowl 57, much like the Chiefs are.
Is there anything we can draw from 57?
Not really. I don't think there's much there. Yeah, no, I think these are just 2 strong teams and very talented teams. The people where they have to be careful about trying to pigeonhole the Chiefs is they've won so many different ways this year. The class of 22 is not talked about enough. They have 8 draft picks from that class still here and flourishing.
See, that's where New Orleans has just disintegrated. They have drafted so poorly. They have traded away the selections. They traded the selections away to go get one player here or there, and then it busts. And we try to talk on and to analyze the Saints, going, you've got to take players that are cheap and young and good. That's the way it's the only way you can sustain it, especially when you got to pay your quarterback as much as the great teams in the NFL eventually do.
And the second piece of the discussion to dovetail off that is what the Chiefs did in 2024, and Brett Veach doesn't get enough credit. So they add DeAndre Hopkins. Mm-hmm. So they get the veteran at the right price, right deal. They have to. And then they get Kareem Hunt, who was dismissed from the team in 2018, missed all of this. And now he's back. Those guys walked on that stage at the Superdome Monday night getting an opportunity they never thought they would have. Then you get Hollywood Brown. So you've got to draft well, to your point. You have to, and the Chiefs have it. 21, 22, 23, 24. They had pieces, but the 22 class is all intact. That's 8 guys and an undrafted free agent, Jack Cochran, that are all still here. Those are lug nuts of this wheel. That's why they're in this game. But then you add pieces. So, but if you don't draft well, especially when you're drafting last, then you have no shot.
I was looking as I was preparing to come down here for the week and getting acquainted with 2 teams that we don't cover until they get here.
Right.
I'm looking at Andy Reid and how he stacks up, and he's right there in the top 5 all time in wins, and he could tie Chuck Noll on Sunday. Do you think he's motivated by any of that, or he just likes the fact that he's got Mahomes and they're winning and it's fun and he can still do it and he's still here?
No, but you better get room for a 5th face on Mount Rushmore, or you better find another mountain, because he's right there. He is right there.
There's no doubt.
With all those guys. Like you mentioned where he's had an overall wins. If he gets this game, he'll be his 29th postseason win. Belichick's got 31. You don't get NFL postseason wins in North Carolina. So he's stopped. Here comes Andy. He'll zoom past that. But you look at his overall wins, his playoff wins, what he's been able to do with different quarterbacks. He's the only guy in NFL history to have 100 wins at 2 separate franchises, and the only guy in NFL history that's the winningest coach at 2 separate franchises. So if he doesn't have his own mountain, you better find room to move Shula over or somebody, Lombardi, because Andy's in that same discussion.
So we're local here, obviously. How have you enjoyed your time in New Orleans for Super Bowl?
I love it. Again, we've been down here before, whether it's business or pleasure. Again, to talk about the historical tie-in. I love to study the history of this city. It's like no other city in our nation.
Right.
It's like its own country, actually. Truthfully, going back to the 1700s. But it's just so unique and has its own charm. So, and then, it'll follow the Saints. We played you guys this year.
Right.
You got 5 different Chiefs on the Saints roster now, and some of my favorite all-time guys. Colin Saunders is awesome. I hated to lose him. Tano Passanio, Willie Gay Jr. These are all guys that were part of the run and building the run. So they got Super Bowl rings from us. So I wish them well, and hopefully the Saints get it rolling again.
We hope so. They got to get a new coach in place next week, and then we'll see where things go from there.
Let's see, zeros on the clock. He won't even have to. He's in the same locker room.
Here. He's here.
Well, he's in the same locker. You guys, I'm sorry, the Eagles have your guys' locker room.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're the home team. They're the NFC team.
Okay.
And so, dude,
he was getting peppered by the local media back on Media Day, and he couldn't bite, obviously, but it was funny to watch the interaction. We saw it
before with Seekin and Gannon back in '57. Like it was 3, 2, 1, Colts and Cardinals, and he was in town. Like he was in town. So it's just same thing. Like he didn't have to leave his locker.
Yeah.
Just bring me the fleur-de-lis. It just don't need green stuff.
There it is. Well, Mitch, we appreciate some time. Enjoy the city. Have a great call on Sunday.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for being such a gracious host.
It's our pleasure. Mitch Holthus is the play-by-play voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Got a pretty big one coming up on Sunday. They can make some history. That'll do it for hour number 1 here from Radio Row on a Wednesday. We got a ton to do in hour number 2 as well. Laura Okmin from NFL on Fox and Westwood 1 is going to be by. She'll be on the sideline for the Super Bowl on Sunday. And then Adam Budelli from StubHub. If you're in the area and you're trying to get in, well, here's a good opportunity. It may cost you a little bit, though. We'll talk to Adam about that at the bottom of hour number 2. Missed any of today's show, you can catch it on demand wherever you find your audio, and, of course, on YouTube. We'll step aside for SportsCenter, get your national headlines, but a lot of them are coming from right here. We'll be back with hour 2 of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime. At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
Is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. ESPN's Sham Sharani is reporting on this day before the NBA trade deadline. The Bucks traded Chris Middleton to the Wizards in a deal that also includes sending Kyle Kuzma to Milwaukee. Middleton, a key player on the 2021 Bucks championship team, but he's been injured since. ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst.
Milwaukee's been working on a trade like this since November. They recognized right away that they weren't going to be good enough this year. This gets them more athleticism, got a guy who can play multi-position with speed alongside Giannis. It's a good move. He does have a ring. He's proven he can do it on the big stage, and he plays hard every night, and that'll show up in Milwaukee right away.
Milwaukee's fifth in the East. Suns forward Kevin Durant doubtful tonight against the Thunder with what the team says is an ankle sprain. 9:30 Eastern ESPN. Phoenix has been willing to listen to offers for KD in recent days. Timberwolves forward Julius Randle will miss at least 2 more weeks because of a right adductor strain. President Donald Trump today signing an executive order designed to prevent people who were assigned male at birth from participating in women's or girls' sporting events. The order will involve how his administration will interpret Title IX.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Thursday, two-time MVP and my quarterback, Eli Manning, joins us on the set at 8:10 Eastern as we look ahead to the Hall of Fame announcement. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show from Radio Row here, Super Bowl 59. Appreciate the folks at LeBear's Baton Rouge for making all of this possible. As we've talked about a lot over the last 3 days, our first gig here at ESPN Baton Rouge at the Super Bowl. It's great that we get to welcome our next guest, not her first Super Bowl. You'll recognize the voice from NFL on Fox, certainly Westwood One. She is Laura Okmin, going to be working the sidelines for the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday. Not your first time. We appreciate a little bit of time here, but this is old hat for you, right?
It's so funny. I'm sitting here, as you said that, thinking of the difference of aging, because if I would have been here 10 years ago, it's like you get nervous, like, oh, I don't want to make it sound like I've been doing this so long. And then you get to a certain age, Hunt, and you're like, yes, it's been a long time. I want credit for every single one of these. It is not my first Super Bowl. I think my first one was 92.
Okay.
So it's been a while.
That was in my childhood when I was a big Cowboys fan. I was a big Cowboys. I have fond memories of that. That was my Cowboys winning. And I think Quincy Carter started taking snaps in the mid '90s, and that just went away. And now I have never gotten it back. But it was great back then because they were winning a lot.
How old were you?
And that was 5.
I figured that was the let's not go there. But can I tell you what I remember from that Super Bowl?
Please do.
I was a child, not as young as you, but I was so over my head. I was at a station in Montgomery, Alabama, and doing all my shooting. And at a time there were not many women. It was over 30 years ago. I had a lot of heavy equipment. And I'm so excited to cover the Super Bowl. And I have a real close spot to Emmitt Smith, who was in the stands. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm not even going to ask a question. I'm so intimidated. It's the first thing, and I'm just happy to be there. I'm the only woman in the scrum, and all of a sudden we start, and Emmitt just goes like this, and boom, looks just right at me, and I'm like, and just sat there. Like I had just
you gotta give me something.
Completely, and for real, as a young woman with no confidence, and he sat there and looked at me for about 20 seconds, like, I'm giving you this. Like, I see you're different. And I just choked, and I sat on that for years until I finally got the confidence to make sure that I always got that first question out. So I say that to say that first Super Bowl, I remember that so much with Emmitt Smith trying to give me a kindness and me realizing how over my head I was, but also how important confidence was going to be to me as a woman in this business.
When you go back to that Super Bowl and you now look at this room, that is what are we 30 years later?
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, how big has this gotten?
Here's what's funny. It was really big then. It was just that's when it was starting to really explode. But now I'm warped in terms of COVID. Changed it so much. And so it went from being really big and a spectacle to all of a sudden being a small room and being this used to be so crazy and fun. This is the first year it's felt like that. And normally, I wish everyone could see, I know you've already done it, but it's crazy in here. This is normally a Friday. And so what I've seen this year is Wednesday is the new Friday.
Yeah.
And it's pre-COVID days that it's so many people. But it used to be all players and celebrities. Now the people that you're being pitched and I'm being pitched also, it's more people who are helping the athletes. It's businesses, it's corporations. That's changed a lot.
Yeah, and it's been great for us to be able to get some access to some people because of some of the great things that they're doing. We talked to Bryan Bresee of the Saints earlier, who's working with Big Brother and Big Sister of America and things like that. So that's been great, and it's another great part of this whole event. That's just not just on the field. I know that you're going to be on the sidelines coming up on Sunday, and you've had some conversations with members of both teams. We just had the play-by-play voice of the Chiefs on the show, Miss Holthus, and I asked him, what do you think motivates Andy Reid here? And he's right there in the top 5 all times in wins. He could tie Chuck Noll with his 4th Super Bowl on Sunday. You spoke to him. I mean, do you think that he's close to the end? Do you think he still is having a blast? Do you think he's motivated by history? Or is he just talking about the Eagles on Sunday?
I think Andy Reid has never changed, no matter where he is. And we had a long conversation about this, of what still drives you. And besides history books, what does it mean to you? And what he said, what he's most proud of, and I was asking him, watching this turnover of coaches right now, everyone wants to find the next Andy Reid, right? But they keep firing coaches after 1 year and 3 years. It's hard to find an Andy Reid when you're doing that.
Right.
But he said what he's so proud of is how much he's changed with the times and how much he hasn't resisted that and how much he's changed with the players. And so I think each Super Bowl or each championship is so different to him because I think he evolves. And that you can't say that for a lot of the coaches who just stay to who they are, Belichickian, right? And it's the system, and everybody comes in, and you just keep doing it his way, which has been very successful for that time. But I think Andy is driven by the teaching, and I think Andy is driven by the relationships. And one thing he also told me for this third straight Super Bowl, he's like, we have a lot of new guys, and I let my veterans take over here. They were the guys coaching up these young guys and these new guys to tell them this is what you can expect. So I think he's really proud of that also, is how much he's raised not just his coaches but also his players. Travis
Kelce is one of those players. He's a guy that you talked to earlier this week as well, and he's obviously got some opportunities off the football field that are pretty substantial. Do you get the sense that we're seeing the end of his career? Or I'm fully expecting him to catch 2 touchdowns and 120 yards worth of balls
and
on
propose
Sunday.
to Taylor Swift.
That could happen too.
That's not happening.
That's what my wife's more interested in, quite frankly.
I have such great annual conversations with Travis at the Super Bowl. I love them so much, and we kind of continued. We started it, and then we continue each time we do this. So what I told him this week was, 2 years ago, I called it Finding Yourself. We talked about how immature he was. We talked about how much he's grown. We talked about the work he's done to be the person he is. So I said that we're going to call Finding Yourself. Last year was all about Taylor, and we called that one Finding Love. So I said, okay, so from finding yourself to finding love, what are you finding now? And I thought he was going to say history. I kind of was serving that up.
Sure.
And what he said was, I'm not finding anything, I'm in it. And he said, I'm so happy right now in every way of my life and who I'm surrounded by. And I don't think he said football until the third thing. It was just about he's in love, his family, he's so happy, the nieces, and this whole life. And then he just said, I'm just trying to enjoy every minute of this as long as it lasts. So I don't know. He has so many opportunities. And as always, he watches his brother to see how he's doing it. And I don't know if he says, I'm having fun, let's do one more year, or if he just goes, God, the whole world is open right now, and I want to go taste some of that. But I truly don't think he knows at this moment.
It's interesting stuff. He's obviously such a public figure. I mean, my wife knows as much about he does as I do, and she doesn't watch football ever. So it's just it's an interesting thing that he's maybe a top 5 tight end of all time, and still might have more opportunity when he decides not to be a tight end.
It's one of the things I've loved about both of them, watching them. And can I tell you this? Like, this is how different he was. And I remember first meeting him and like being like, when he was doing the Travis Kelce dating show. Like, he wasn't someone you'd think your wife should know. You know, like you'd be like, he's got some growing up to do. But I remember talking to him during that afterwards and asking about his evolution of how he's grown up from the kid who was almost kicked off the team for getting high all the time, his brother having to save him, doing the reality show. And I was like, what changed in you to kind of get your act together? And he said, I did an exercise where I pretended there was a camera on me facing me. And I thought to myself, I want to see what people think of me when they look at me. And I was like, what'd you find? Can I swear on the show?
You can't.
I can't? Okay. So he said, I understood why they thought I was a jerk. Let's just say a jerk.
Okay.
So I understood why they thought I was a jerk. And I just remember being like, well, that's pretty wise of this young guy being like, let me turn it on myself and go, I see why people are saying this. And I don't think I am that. And so I want to be better. And so what I've loved about Travis since that conversation is, like, he has worked for this. He has earned it. And like your wife, I hope, says, I love seeing him and Taylor in love. Like, I hope other men see what it looks like for a couple to support each other.
That's all she says. He supports her. It's like end game is what she says.
Taylor needed that. Like, she needed a man to support her. And how much do we love watching her support him at the games? Like, it's I talked to him about it this week. Like, it's been really cool, the evolution of the relationship. I have an organization for women in sports, and so what it started was all these young women being like, I can be a Swiftie and I can be a sports fan. Like, I didn't know I could merge peanut butter and chocolate. So that was the beginning, and now I have more conversation with men this year, all being like, I love watching the way he treats her. Like, I want my wife at the games. I want, like, it's been a really cool thing of how we've put our stuff onto this couple.
We're listening to Laura Okmin. Great conversation here. She supports with NFL on Fox. Westwood One. She'll be on the sidelines coming up on Sunday. Saquon Barkley's the last player I wanted to talk to you about. Yeah. That's quite a change of scenery from the dysfunction in New York to now with the Super Bowl, and he almost set a rushing record in the regular season. What do you think that journey has been like for him?
I love my conversation with him this week. So I brought it back to a conversation I had with him in 2022, and he had missed a lot of time the season before. And he talked about, after missing the time and coming back, how it changed him so much because he missed the bus rides, and he missed the plane rides, and he missed the huddle. And I was like, did you miss football? And he's like, yes, but you don't realize, like all the other stuff, where he's like, of course I missed the game. But he came back with a different appreciation, and he said, my goal now is to show my personality while I play. And like he said, I think I've been this football player and a person and merging it. And so what we talked about in our conversation was, I said, was it just having the game taken away from you? And he goes, in therapy. And like, I'm telling you, the conversation I've had with more guys the last 5 years, and I meet with them every week with the NFL on Fox, the word therapy comes up constantly, and these guys realizing the mental work they do and the mental work they do off the field directly translates. So I think he's having a ball, but what he told me is winning's part of it. That's what everyone sees, but he's loving his life right now.
I'm sitting here, and our media company is represented right here, and I see Alondra, and I see Rivers, and I see Michelle right there. We've got as many women here representing us as we do men. You've got galvanized. I just want to know what you've seen in the growth of women in this industry since you talked about your first Super Bowl in '92, and what does galvanized do for that?
I remember '92 and every Super Bowl since, and every Olympic since, and NHL All-Stars or World Series, every big event I've ever covered when I was young, I would count women. And I did it because I could.
Yeah.
And so for a long time it was on one hand, and then it got to two hands, and then like you just said, like we could never count. There's so many women. So the growth has been unbelievable, but if we counted women in power, and if we counted women who are making the decisions of how to move forward, we still are on one hand. And so I hope what Galvanize does is give these young women something I didn't have when I started, which is a great group of women around them. And so, I mean, we're over 5,000 women now, and it started, I started it 15 years ago just because there weren't anything for women in sports back then. And we are in front of the camera, we're behind the camera, we are in radio, we're in TV, we're PR, we're marketing, we're everything. And I'm hoping that not just raising these wonderful, talented women and what they do, but the whole mantra of Galvanize is you're who, not your do. So everything we do and everything we do in our interviews and our content is all about who you are, not what you do, which is why I talk about Saquon and therapy, or why I talk about Kelsey and being in love. Like, that's the stuff that always has lit me up. And for a long time, I didn't talk about that because I thought that was girly. And so I thought, well, I just have to tell you the difference between a 3-4 and a 4-3 so you'll respect me, and then realize, but that's not what's lighting me up. I spent a long time proving I knew what I was talking about, and then finally I got to add to that, but what do I care about? And it's the people. So I hope Galvanize, that organization, I hope that's an extension of all of that.
Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. Appreciate you taking a little bit of time with us. Enjoy the week and have a great call on Sunday.
Thank you. You too. Have a great week.
I sure will. That's Laura Okmin, NFL on Fox and Westwood One. You can hear her on the sidelines coming up for the Super Bowl on Sunday. We'll take a timeout, come back with more. Still a lot to do on this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com is the website. If you're looking for a place to watch the game because you're thinking, I don't know if my home is the best place to have an awesome game-watching experience. Well, you can change that. Mitchell Fisher and his team at Audio Video Security Solutions are happy to do it. They can do your TV installation. They can do your surround sound installation. They can make it as high-tech or as low-tech as you want. They can make it voice-activated. You can walk in and say, watch the game, and the blinds can come down, the television can come on, and surround sound can perk up, and that can be as high-tech as you want. Or it's simple as installing a television. Whatever you want your home entertainment system to look like so that you can watch the big games at home and feel like this is an awesome spot to be, Mitchell Fisher and his team can do it. And I'll give you Mitchell's cell phone number. That's why I love working with Audio Video Security Solutions. 225-439-7920. Again, that's 225-439-7920. That's Mitchell's cell. He'll be your point person at Audio Video Security Solutions for whatever it is from an audio, video, and security perspective that you want to accomplish. Check him out online at avssla.com, avssla.com.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-11.
The Hunt Palmer Show, live from Super Bowl 59 Radio Row in New Orleans. Presented by L'Auberge Casino Hotel, Baton Rouge.
Man, it's been a whirlwind today. I feel like I have a chance to reset now. We've had guests in the last, I think, 4 segments. Is that right? We had Bryan Bresee to kick off the show. Oh, then we had a little bit of a break there where I could talk a little LSU basketball and baseball. Then we had Q Myers from ESPN Radio's national lineup, had Mitch Holthus, the play-by-play voice of the Chiefs, and then just had a great conversation there with Laura Okmin. And there have been different perspectives. You got Q Myers from a national perspective, just kind of talking ball and the national storylines around this game. Obviously talked in depth about the Chiefs, not just this Chiefs team, but a good long run in Kansas City there with Mitch Holthus. And then really a lot of off-the-field discussion there with Laura Okmin. I love talking to sideline reporters because they get information that we just can't get. I can look up how the Chiefs have done in the red zone this year. I can look up whether Saquon Barkley's had more success running behind Lane Johnson on the right or moving left off tackle. I can look at Jalen Hurts' touchdown-interception ratio. I can't tell you about Saquon Barkley going to therapy. I can't tell you what Travis Kelce feels about his place in life right now. And she's had those conversations because of her position with Westwood One. And I just found that conversation completely fascinating. And I could have kept it going for another 20 minutes if we're being quite honest. But the point that I've been making since we started the show today, back at 1 o'clock, is that this whole thing has cranked up about 3 notches here in the convention center in New Orleans. When Jake and T-Bob started on Monday, there were like 3 shows broadcasting. It was real quiet. And by the time I got on, and then certainly when Matt came on Monday, there were more afternoon drive folks here around the room. Yesterday was a little bit of a step up. We saw a little bit more folks setting up. And today, the whole thing has been elevated. The ESPN national set with McAfee's behind me is rocking and rolling. The Outkick set over there has had a bunch of folks roll through. Jaden Daniels has been here. Patrick Peterson's been here. Earlier we saw Cam Jordan walk by. I think you're going to hear some of that a little bit later. DeMario Davis is going to stop by for Matt's show. And you've got some folks making the rounds nationally. Yesterday you saw Justin Jefferson and Malik Neighbors. It's not Malik Neighbors. Those 2 names just kind of roll off my tongue together. Justin Jefferson and Michael Penix were together. So there's just a lot going on, and it's been really, really cool to just be a part of the whole thing. And I'm confident that the whole place is going to turn up even more as the week goes on. I think while it's still probably a little bit quiet from a fan perspective, from the actual Chiefs and Eagles fans in New Orleans, that'll start on Friday. I'm assuming you'll start filtering in pretty good. And this town should be, off the chains coming up in the next 48 hours. I'll say this, and I think that covering it from a New Orleans perspective is interesting to our fan base. Beck, if you'll grab your microphone, I want to check something with you because I grew up in Shreveport, as we know, and there's no real animus. But I've sensed since I've lived in Baton Rouge, there's a little bit of a rivalry is way too strong, but kind of the New Orleans people prefer New Orleans to Baton Rouge, and the Baton Rouge people prefer Baton Rouge to New Orleans. Like, do you have like some anti-New Orleans in you as a Baton Rouge native?
No, I don't.
Okay, I feel like that there is some of that, and there are some people that are from Baton Rouge like, I'm not going to New Orleans, and I feel like there are some people that are from like Baton Rouge. What's there to do there? Like, why would you ever go there? But I love New Orleans, and I love spending time here, and obviously we understand the events that happened a month ago here, and we understand the security level that it entails to run a Super Bowl. And I'll tell you that if you go downtown into the French Quarter and you spend time down there, like, there are military presences at every turn. So if you are, contemplating coming down here or thought, well, that's not a good idea, that's not a great place to be, it's dangerous, they have this place taken care of in my estimation. Certainly, I don't have any qualifications for saying that, but I've been here for 3 days, been walking around, have seen, done the drive-through and whatnot, and they're taking this really seriously. And as I mentioned yesterday on the show, they have dressed this place up. It looks really, really good downtown, and I've never been to a Super Bowl anywhere else, and I'm not going to be here this weekend for this Super Bowl. But I do know New Orleans. I know the proximity that all of the restaurants and bars have to this place, to the hotel that a lot of the media folks are staying in, to the Superdome, and what this place can be when it's at its best. And I fully anticipate that the next 72 hours are going to be awesome for the city of New Orleans. The weather from a warmth standpoint looks good. There may be a little bit of rain, but it just feels like that this place is putting on its best face. And while I asked back that question about kind of the rivalry, like I'm a native Louisianian. I grew up in Shreveport. I've lived in Baton Rouge, both of them for 18 years. I never lived in New Orleans. I spent the weeks here for about 10 months. But I've got a lot of pride in the city of New Orleans because it's part of the state that I love a ton. And so for the nation to come down here, it's why if you've been listening to the show for any degree of time today and yesterday, you've heard me ask all these folks that have come in nationally from Kansas City, from Vegas, from L.A., from New York, wherever they've been coming in from. I've asked, like, how have you liked your experience? And to a man, outside of one yesterday, we had had Darren Hill on, who covers the Chiefs, and he was a little disappointed in the NFL experience not being open yet, which has nothing to do with New Orleans. So when he said that he wasn't over the moon about it, it had nothing to do with the city or the restaurants or the hotel scene or the proximity or the public transportation or any of that. It had everything to do with the fact that he wanted to see the NFL experience, and that hadn't been set up yet. So I'm not going to hold that one against the city of New Orleans just yet, but everyone has felt like it's been great, and I feel like if the NFL's never going to put a permanent rotation together like the Open Championship does in golf or like the National Championship does in football, where they kind of keep it in the same 4, 5, 6 places. They're going to give everybody their opportunity, especially when they build a new place. I think that the NFL is always going to come back to New Orleans because of how well this place handles things. And you can make jokes about the lights going out the last time and all that kind of stuff, but when they put their mind to it and they decide that we're going to host something this important, New Orleans does it phenomenally. I would personally rather go to a Final Four and see that spectacle than go to the actual Super Bowl. That's just the nature of my interest in college football and college basketball. But this is a big, big deal, and it's been a thrill for us to be here now for half a week, and I can't wait to see what the next couple of days have to show us. If you're thinking about coming to New Orleans, thinking, I may like to go to the Super Bowl. Well, I was checking out prices over the last couple of days, and they're substantial. But if you got some means and you're looking around, you may have an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, and we'll chat about that when we come back from our next time out. StubHub's Adam Budelli is going to be with us to kind of talk about the process and just how big the Super Bowl is. StubHub sells tickets to everything. They're involved in whatever it is that you may want to be going to, and the Super Bowl has got to be, I'm guessing, the biggest of them all. And we'll talk to Adam when we come back after this timeout. You're listening to a Wednesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Back here on Radio Row, Super Bowl 59 coming up on Sunday. We're here thanks to our friends at LeBear's Baton Rouge. Appreciate them for allowing us to be here all week long. We've heard kind of a local angle from Bryan Bresee of the Saints, Q Myers from ESPN, as well as Laura Okmin from the NFL on Fox and Westwood One. Kind of gave us a national perspective. Mitch Holthus talked to us from a Chiefs perspective. Now let's get it from a ticket perspective. It's our pleasure to welcome to our set here StubHub's Adam Budelli. Adam, thanks for some time. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing very well. So how many Super Bowls for you?
It'll be 8th one here at StubHub.
8th one at StubHub. Okay, so this I've been telling everybody this is our first time. We're local out of Baton Rouge, so we're not going to go to Santa Clara or Miami for a Super Bowl, but they're here, so we can drive down the road and do it. This is a huge spectacle for us. We've never seen anything quite like this, and I'm curious: is this the biggest event of the year for StubHub?
This is the biggest single-day sporting event.
Okay.
Obviously, cumulatively, depends on how the game will end up, but certainly the Super Bowl is a life in itself, and this is probably the only city that it's somehow like the appetizer before Mardi Gras in a few weeks.
Right.
It's unique that this isn't going to be your biggest day of the year.
So tell me about the process for Super Bowl tickets and kind of when the rush happens and how that market works, because if you're talking about a huge game that teams are playing in season, about that for months. These fan bases don't know that they're here until 2 weeks out, and certainly the corporations know they want to be there win or where. So it's kind of the build up to Super Bowl Sunday for y'all?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it really starts almost a year in advance in terms of vetting and making sure that every ticket that comes on our site is 100% approved and verified. The biggest thing that we always tell fans is you actually want to wait. The worst time to buy a ticket for a Super Bowl or some of these marquee events is the first 48 hours after your team has actually clinched.
Okay.
And really, it's that kind of middle of the week. So right now is actually probably one of the best times and most affordable we've seen a Super Bowl in most recent years.
That's interesting. And I'll tell you, this is a true story. LSU played in the national championship game in January of 2008, 2007 year. I was a sophomore at LSU. And I had a ticket. I got a ticket through my student pass and had paid for it and had gotten it. And it was a gorgeous big ticket that we had, and the lettering on that had the date on it was punched out. And one of my friends came up to me with like 6 hours before kick and goes, "I just got this ticket for $120 on the street." And I was like, "Can I see that?" Faded, didn't have the holes punched, like just absolutely got taken for a ride, and it had spent $150, which is a college kid. That was a big deal, and that kind of stuff can happen if you're not careful, and obviously that's where y'all come in.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing is whether you shop on StubHub or another marketplace, you want to make sure it is a trusted source, because there unfortunately are a lot of people out there that are trying to scam, and that's why the beauty of going mobile-only tickets now is you should never be paying for a ticket off the street in cash, because I can assure you, if they're handing you a piece of paper, it's not a real Super Bowl ticket.
Right. Yeah, because everything's digital at this point now. Exactly. I've always got a credential badge around when I'm going to sporting events, so I haven't done that in a little bit. But that's interesting. So you mentioned that this may be one of the most affordable times to come in and buy. I'm curious, as time goes toward kickoff, what generally do y'all see, Super Bowl or just another big game?
Yeah, when it comes to a big game, especially like the Super Bowl, you have to throw out what we're all used to. If it's an LSU game or another sporting event, where typically during the regular season, prices will go down. However, we certainly expect, and have seen it most recently just in 2 weeks ago in Atlanta for the CFP Championship, prices skyrocketed as you got closer. With the amount of people still to come, it's only Wednesday afternoon here.
Right.
Airport, I've heard, is quite the disaster today. It will only get worse tomorrow heading into the weekend. So as more and more people come, it's not like tickets are endless. And certainly that's where at some point people are going to start buying, and that's where you'll see the price actually probably move back up.
This may not be a question that you can answer, but I'm curious if you can. I've never been to a Super Bowl. Do you find that most of the tickets that y'all are selling week of are going to fans of one of the teams or people that want to go to the Super Bowl? Is there a way to trace that?
It's always hard to exactly know. What I can say, though, is, we can based off of where they are. So, so far to date, we've had about 21% of our ticket sales coming from the state of Pennsylvania. So assume Eagles, as compared to only 10% there in Kansas and Missouri. So clearly, as expected, that lean's going to be towards the Philadelphia Eagle fans. The other big thing that we've noticed, too, is with the softening of the market, if you can say that, we're still talking about a, $2,800, $3,000 ticket.
Right.
However, since Monday, we've seen a massive increase of 47% from the state of Louisiana. So
really?
Showing that sporting event fans here are going to probably get a chance to go see a Super Bowl, whether the Saints are in it or not.
For sure, and that's fascinating stuff. Do you think the demand would have been higher if the Chiefs weren't here? I've been asking people that cover this game from a media perspective, like, are you sick of the Chiefs? And I've gotten probably 75%, like, kind of.
Yeah, from a ticketing side, certainly the Bills fans would have. They haven't been in many, many years. You're talking about 5 out of the 6 Super Bowls, so certainly you're going to see a little bit of a dip. So I would say, yes, the Bills certainly would be driving a little bit of a higher price. But the other piece, too, is, what comes into it is the amount of hotels, what that price is just to get here for the game, and then that also dictates where we are. And I think that's what we're seeing a little bit with the hotel prices being a little bit higher than normal.
Yes, they are. What about New Orleans as compared to, Santa Clara or Miami or Houston or Indianapolis or wherever? I don't even know off the top of my head where all the Super Bowls are. They're all the same to me because I'm in the living room. But what about New Orleans as far as the ticket market goes?
Yeah, I think overall it's a great market, and I think the ability that everyone's going to be within walking distance for the most part if you're staying down here, that leads to it. We saw that last year in Vegas, and that's where that demand really comes from, is that most people are sitting there and waiting on their phones. If you can decide last minute if you want that area around you. Other markets are slightly a little bit different. How do you get to the game? But having a Super Bowl be able to be walkable, we saw in Vegas, that's why we're predicting probably prices will go up from here.
And that's the beauty of New Orleans, I think, because I haven't been to Super Bowls. I've been to a lot of the sites where they hold Super Bowls, and I think New Orleans has such a great proximity to the hotels, to the restaurants, to the bars, to the stadium, whereas, like, I've been to the Cowboys Stadium where they've certainly played a Super Bowl, and, like, not much out there. So, like, you're either there or you're not. And here you might just kind of be around and go, okay, let's make that work. Is that kind of what you're speaking to?
Oh, I'm sure Bourbon Street will be loaded with fans that would be happy to go to the game if prices fall, but most likely than not, they can enjoy the game from one of the many bars there. And similar last year, like I mentioned, Vegas, like if you're in Mandalay Bay, you saw thousands of people just staring at their phones hoping the prices went down.
Yep.
Didn't. I'm sure they found their way to another watch party along the strip.
I'm going to ask a selfish question here that has nothing to do with the Super Bowl. This has to do more with my goofball friends over there. So I've got a 3-year-old who eventually is going to get into football, and I've spent some time watching Saints ticket prices, even up to like Sunday morning, and looking at it like 9 o'clock and thinking, man, those really crashed. Do you find that, not for the Super Bowl, for regular season events, NBA, for the NFL, for MLB, that like the day of is just an awesome time to just jump on there and go? I mean, is that generally when prices dip to their lowest?
Certainly for an average game. Now, if you're talking about, Falcons being here, maybe that slightly changes with some of the closer rivalries. But, yeah, we've certainly seen a massive trend into that last 48 hours. And within there, a couple of things happen. One, season ticket holders tend to list last, change. But also, things come up in other people's lives. They don't want to go. And all of a sudden, there's a lot of opportunity for a great time to buy. So, certainly, I always say, hey, use, technology for your tips. Follow the prices during the regular season. When it comes to, LSU Saturday night game against Alabama, you might need to throw that out a little bit.
That's when everybody calls me and says, can you get me a ticket? No, I don't even have a ticket. I got one of those credentials to go sit in the press box, but I get that for sure. So you're feeling like more green than red in the Dome and a good sizable chunk of New Orleans folks in the Superdome on Sunday. That's kind of the sense you're getting?
I think so. That's what it appears to be so far, which is great. I mean, look, anytime a Super Bowl, last year was candidly a little crazy what we saw some of the prices. So, you want the Super Bowl to be approachable to a lot of people. We've already had 49 out of the 50 states show a purchase, as well as 17 different countries. So the Super Bowl itself is a lot bigger than just the two fan bases, which I think that's where a lot of that demand also comes.
Talked about this. The table next to us is speaking Portuguese, I think, from Brazil. So it's like that's shows the scale of what we're doing here. When I covered LSU and Clemson, the national championship game, nobody from Brazil was here making that happen. So what does the rest of the week look like for you?
Yeah, hey, we're just going around having conversations like this, trying to educate the fans that may still be looking to go and getting excited for the game.
How do you like New Orleans as a site for this? You're traveling all over the place.
I love it. I do live in San Francisco Bay Area, so it's a little bit harder. No direct flights for the most part.
Sure.
But, hey, once you're here, I mean, to have the city walkable, tremendous food, everything's so close from all the different events and meetings and opportunities. So I certainly would vote to have you guys have another Super Bowl here soon.
I hope so. I love this city and love when the events come to town. And generally speaking, I think the city does an awesome job of hosting it. We're halfway home here, and I think the rest of the week's just going to be a whole lot better. He's Adam Budelli from StubHub. We appreciate some time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Love the conversation with our friend Adam Budelli there. We'll let him get on. We got one segment left to go. Don't go anywhere. It's a Wednesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. And if you're one of those folks that might be in the market for a vehicle, but I don't really like going to the dealership because I feel like I'm under a lot of pressure. I feel like I'm being sold something, upsold here and there. You're never going to run into that at Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're going to treat you like a guest, not like a customer. Their brand ambassadors are so helpful, and if you really just don't feel like you want to go to the dealership, they'll come to you, whether that's at your place of business, whether that's at home. They'll drive to you. They'll let you test drive that vehicle from wherever you are. And then if you want to make that purchase, they can deliver those vehicles. They can do e-contracts. You never have to set foot on the dealership. I would recommend you do. It's right there, Airline at Pico across from Women's Hospital, and it's a phenomenal facility. If you've never been by, and there's a possibility that's true because they hadn't been there for 2 years, make it one of your stops on your list when you're in the market for a new vehicle. It's right there at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every single car comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. 10 years, 100,000 miles. It's a good deal. Get on by and see them at Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Auctioner, We know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
OTB, AFR, and the Hunt Palmer Show have been bringing you live coverage from Radio Row, welcoming you up to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. Our coverage is presented locally by LeBear's Casino Hotel Baton Rouge. You can listen on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and watch on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. And 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizens Bank and Trust want to help cover your car payments. It's a $5,000 grand prize with a bonus chance to win free car washes from Benny's Car Wash for 6 months. We're also letting you earn extra entries by subscribing to our LouisianaSports.net daily newsletter. To sign up, visit 1045ESPN.com.
We're winding things down, at least from the Hunt Palmer Show perspective here on this Wednesday. Matt's got a loaded AFR coming from 3 to 6 that I know of. He's having Demario Davis, Kyle Turley. Hopefully there's no helmets around to be chucked anywhere with authority. Jarvis Green going to jump aboard with him as well, former LSU Tiger and New England Patriot. So lots and lots coming up for you on After Further Review. But it's been a really fun show for us here from 1 to 3. We've had a ton of guests and a ton of great conversation leading up to this game. I did squeeze a little bit of local talk into the mix, talked a little bit about LSU and Georgia tonight. I'll kind of briefly recap that. These are two teams that don't shoot the ball well from 3 at all. These are two teams that really aren't very good offensively, but they pride themselves on defense. It could be a bit of a rock fight. If one team gets hot at all, you feel like they may run away from the other one, but that shouldn't happen based on the way those two teams have played defense. Second half on Saturday, notwithstanding for LSU, and the way that generally both teams shoot it. They're both two teams that are desperate to win a game. It's going to be a really late night tip in Athens in front of a crowd that has been good for them, but I don't know how they're going to draw on a Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. That's a tall ask. So we'll see. I'm confident that LSU should stay in the game. I'm not confident that LSU will win the game. I can't say that for sure. And I don't say that I'm confident LSU will stay in the game because they're really good or they're playing great basketball. I just don't think Georgia is very good. So we'll see what happens tonight. I would pick Georgia to win. I would probably pick LSU to cover an 8-point number at that point. So we'll recap it tomorrow. I'll have a story up on LouisianaSports.net tomorrow that'll recap it. I have a preview piece up right now that's talking about the game, but you may not want to go check that out. You may, though, want to check out the starting pitching preview that I did on LouisianaSports.net earlier today. It's got my projected starting rotation in it. I'll go ahead and tell you right now. I think that you're going to see Cade Anderson on Friday of next week. I think that you will see Anthony Ianson on Saturday of next week, and I think Chase Shores is probably the guy that I would suggest that you would see on Sunday, and I have a reason for that. I've talked about it a little bit throughout the course of the fall and into the spring. I call this the spring. It's still dead of winter, but baseball season, you feel like it's the spring. If you remember last year, LSU really struggled in Game 3s in the first half of SEC play. They were playing rubber games, and they were getting beat. They were playing games to fend off a sweep, and they were getting beat. And it wasn't like they were getting beat by run-of-the-mill pitchers. Juranslo Sanger from Mississippi State pitched against them in the first Sunday. He throws 97 miles an hour with both arms and was the 15th overall pick in the draft. That's who LSU saw on a Sunday for Mississippi State. They lost the game. Jack Caglione was who they saw the next week on Sunday in a marble game. He throws 97. He was the 6th overall pick in the draft. Yes, that was to hit more than to pitch, but you get the point. He's a pretty talented dude. Brady Tigert pitched when LSU went to Fayetteville in Game 3. LSU was trying to fight off a sweep. Couldn't do it. Tigert was a closer for Arkansas because his slider was so good, and he ended up being a 12th-round pick because injuries sidetracked his career at Arkansas, but he's a really talented arm. Then LSU came home and played Vanderbilt. They played a rubber game in Game 3, and they saw Carter Holton, who had been Vanderbilt's Friday night starter, but because of one, a little injury, and two, they had a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, they pushed Carter Holton back to Sunday. You saw him. He was a second-round pick who you saw on Sunday. And then they went to Knoxville, and they got swept, and they lost Game 3 to Xander Sechrist, who ended up pitching Game 3 of the championship series for Tennessee and winning a national championship. So, Juranslo Sanger, Jack Caglione, Brady Tigert, Carter Holton, Xander Sechrist, these are elite-level arms, some of the most talented arms in the country that LSU was seeing in Game 3s. And I think Jay Johnson watched that while he was trying to patchwork things together with whoever was left between Nate Ackenhausen and Sam Dutton and whatever he could cobble together in a Game 3. I think he saw that and went, what if I put some talent in Game 3 that maybe wasn't the ace right out of the chute, but there's some real high-end stuff. Chase Shores makes a lot of sense there. I think he makes a ton of sense. You've been, say a team has traveled to Baton Rouge, played deep into the night on Friday, played another game on Saturday, long day at the ballpark, come in on Sunday. That's a day where you might be a little bit mentally exhausted, maybe a little physically exhausted, third game in a row, got a flight to catch that evening, and you got Chase Shores throwing 97 miles an hour from a 6'8" arm slot. Like that, to me, sounds like a quality idea. And I don't think Chase Shores right now is to the point where he can be that ace on a Friday night. So maybe you put him there on Sunday and think, well, we're going to have the most talented arm on the mound right now. And that's maybe in a way that LSU can approach things in Game 3s moving forward. So, Beck, I got a couple more things I can talk about, but I didn't ask you in the break. Do you have any take it or leave it for me here, or do we need to just keep on working for the next 4 minutes?
Got a few.
Hit me.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it.
All right, first one here. The NFL Players Association's executive director, Lloyd Howell, had some media availability for the Super Bowl and pushed back against NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell's recent statement that safety data favors expanding the regular season, saying, quote, frankly, we're not sure how he's reached that conclusion based on the data we've been given access to, Howell said during the NFLPA's annual news conference today. Howell was asked about the NFLPA's current stance on an 18-game season and said that Goodell said on Monday that it was a possibility, but he said that no one wants to play an 18th game. No one. There will be an 18th game in the NFL season soon. Take it or leave it.
Take it. As soon as Goodell can put it on the schedule. Absolutely immediately, because there's more money in it. And under no circumstances could any data suggest that playing an additional football game is better for player safety. Football, not exactly great for safety of any kind. We've watched enough to understand that. But money wins. It always wins. It will win again, and they will absolutely play an 18th game. There's no doubt in my mind.
All right, Hunt, this is some breaking news for you that I think you're going to be really excited about. Live Golf have announced major changes to their scoring system They announced this today in preparation for their first tournament, which will be in Riyadh, which I will be giving you some fantasy picks for. Don't worry. But for the first time in the circuit's history, every player's score in every round will count towards their team's total score. Last season, just the best 3 scores were taken in the first 2 rounds, with all 14 members counting only for the final 18 holes. It does make volatility bigger and crazier. Nobody can hide. Range Goats captain Bubba Watson said you're going to have to be committed on every hole, every shot. Take it or leave it.
Leave it. Everybody can hide because nobody knows where you're playing or who's on what team or who won or who didn't win or who shot 80 or who shot 58. Nobody cares. Nobody knows. Take the money. Stop doing interviews. Play your golf that nobody cares about next.
That's it.
Great. Got me in a bad mood, Beck, with all your live golf chatter. I had a great show today. This was one of my favorite shows I've ever done on radio because we had so many great conversations, and you're bringing me Bubba Watson's Range Goats takes on Liv's new format. How do you feel about yourself bringing that into the close of the show?
Well, Hunt, I just know that you care to know. You want to be up to date with Liv news as much as possible, so I just had to bring it to you.
I'm upset with you. So just understand that's where I am at this point.
Okay.
But I appreciate all your hard work. That's it for a Wednesday edition. It was a great one. Had a blast today from Radio Row. Again, thanks to the folks at LeBear's for making it possible. Bryan Bresee opened the show. You can certainly find that at Hunt on Saints on YouTube. And he had a great conversation. We also talked LSU Clemson a little bit at the top of the show with Bryan Bresee, who is a Clemson Tiger. Q Myers from ESPN Radio, their national lineup, was with us at 1:30, kind of breaking down this game. Had a great conversation with Mitch Holthus, the play-by-play voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, who pretty confident about what the Chiefs have done and will do on Sunday. Laura Okmin was awesome at the first top of the segment of hour number 2. She's with NFL on Fox and Westwood 1, and shed some great light on some conversations she's had with some of the players leading up to this Super Bowl. And Adam Budelli was awesome from StubHub just a few moments ago. Missed any of it? Catch it wherever you find your on-demand audio. Matt's coming up with AFR. We'll see you tomorrow from Radio Row.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. I tell you all this story all the time because it's true. My wife moved into the house that I had initially lived in, and she liked the house, liked the location. Great place to bring our son home for the first time. Closet space, terrible. Awful closets. She hated it. She complained about it a lot. And for good reason. I didn't really realize it, but we had closets that were in other rooms that had coats, and we had to walk into other rooms to try to get – it was just a bad deal. So we moved. We didn't call David Duvall and One Bath and Closets because we knew we were going to move. We needed more space. You don't have to move to get great closet space. Just get David Duvall. He'll come over. He can customize a closet to your exact specifications. Start that process at OneBathAndClosets.com. Contact him. Get that free consultation. That doesn't cost anything. Then you see what he can do for you. You start that process. He'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's One Bath and Closets. Find him online at OneBathAndClosets.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go.